All right. Good evening, ladies, gentlemen, boys and girls, cats, dogs, and aliens of all ages. It's Wednesday evening. I'm here in my basement. Joe's in his basement. I don't think Daryl has a basement. And then we have our special guest, Richard. Welcome, everybody. How you guys doing?
Good.
Good, thank you.
Good, good. Mr. Man, welcome, sir. Always the first person to chime in. How you doing, man?
Hey, Chris.
Chris posted a video the other day. He bought the band's greatest hits and said he was digging it. So that's cool. Sam, how you doing?
Hi, Sam.
Trevor, ladies, well, our wives are in our houses somewhere. They're not doing this, but But I had to say ladies because we're talking about women tonight. So,
That's right.
it is what it is. Tim, how you doing, sir?
Hello, everybody.
Hello,
So-
everyone.
Everybody have a good week. We'll start the easy way. How's things at the store, Joe?
Store's good. Store is still busy.
Good.
Off that collection that we brought in, we're still selling quite a bit every day. New people coming in, so that's really all you can ask for. Is we're just trying to bring new people in, and there's folks that are returning that are buying stuff as well, and they're not just buying from that collection because we had a pretty decent selection to begin with as well. So between that and we've brought in a couple of new titles as well. Just special order stuff, though. Nothing. We're not really going to stock anything. I've kind of made that official decision that we just can't do that. It just doesn't. It's tough. It's tough to be a local independent in this town of our size with the population that we have to do that. So we're just not going to. But I will continue to offer to anybody who wants. If they want to bring something in, we'll definitely do that. So. But it's been good. It's been all right. So, yeah.
Chris is saying he really liked your video with 12 Canadian things that shouldn't be in the shop.
Thank you.
I thought I haven't watched it yet.
Yeah, there's been obviously lots of that talk as of late.
Elbows up.
Yeah, elbows up. That's right. Both locally, like on the radio stations, a lot of companies are promoting the things that they sell that are Canadian, the fact they are Canadian, et cetera, et cetera. So didn't really jump on the bandwagon per se, because obviously everybody I think here knows that I have always promoted Canadian and shop local and all the other things. But thought I'd put that up there, and I get some good reaction to it, which is always a good thing. So
Good.
yeah.
Daryl, how's things up in the minus 25 degree Great White North?
Things are great up in the minus 25 down to +2 in less than 12-hour day.
Yeah.
So I found out yesterday that they were changing so my wife works at the college. It's just a small campus up here where that record station used to be. And they were changing all the locks on the doors. And I found out they were doing it. So I used my key one last time to get in there.
No.
And I found a few other things in there. So I did that yesterday. So I was kind of excited. The only thing is some of them I was bummed. There were some copies of some records that were absolutely warped just due to the heat that's in there. But I found a copy of Queen's jazz album, and it's got a slight warp. I want to try to see if I can flatten it. It doesn't affect the play. Just a little worried about my arm, but I found a few good ones. Found a few Canadian ones in there that were cool, and then your favorite, I found OK Blue Jays. Let's Play Ball on 45.
Yes, really?
I'm gonna do another video about what I found in there.
I still have mine from when I was when did that come out, like 83, 84, something like that. I still have my copy.
Yeah.
So I'm
I'll probably make a little video on that.
Did Jazz
we'll talk about that in just a minute, but keep going.
Did Jazz have the poster in it still?
No, it did not. And one thing I did find in there, I didn't bring it home just because of the kids. But there was a Penthouse album in there with a full spread in it.
Yeah, man.
Oh, really?
It's amazing what was in the radio station. I was just like, why is this thing even in here?
That was just used for production. I'm not exactly sure for what, but that was just all meant for production. So
yeah.
So are they just going to change the locks on this and seal it up, and the records are going to stay there forever?
I have no idea what the plan is. I know my wife got a key, and she's pretty sure that it opens that door because she got a key to all the doors. So maybe she'll let me in there. We'll see.
Pretty soon, Daryl will have a second house full of records that he stole from the record station.
So the problem is I don't want to go in there. I don't want to go down that other hole. I mean, there's got to be 5,045s in there,
Oh Jesus!
and I don't want to go down
man.
that route.
Don't do it.
Don't do it. No, don't do it.
Don't do it. Richard, what's going on with you? Sam wants to see your stout.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't have a stout today. I just have water. Sorry, but
So you're drinking American light beer then?
I was going to
Very
say
much.
if you could do it. Very nice.
Very
what's
good.
new in Denver? Not much, other than we're having a bit of a unseasonal heat wave in the 70s today, and it's supposed to stay that way for the week.
Nice.
So then, of course, the weather changes on Saturday and we get colder, but that's par for the course of this part of the woods.
Take it while you can get it.
Exactly. So, other than that, sitting on my deck for the first time in how many months? It was very nice today.
Very good.
That's good. That's good.
How's the Stereophonics box set you bought? Chris wants to know.
Ooh, I'm halfway through it, and it's really interesting that there is exactly one Stereophonic song, and I cannot name it off the top of my head, but I heard it and I went, "Oh, I know that song." So I used to be able to say I didn't know any Stereophonics, but I do. I lied. But it's a big old deluxe box, so I got 2 CDs and a ton of other stuff to go through. But yeah, I think that'll be all the Stereophonics I need.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Cool.
Wow.
And you had a busy weekend?
Yeah, lots of stuff going on. I had an adventurous weekend with Mike from NGK Boston, which was awesome. He was neither of us have made a video yet, but we're going to. Mike was in town mainly because a band that I love that I introduced them to that they now love, Whitehorse. They were playing in Guelph, Ontario. So they came up for that. And because it's this where I live, and that's where Patty's from, and her parents still live here. And it's only an hour and a half drive from them. So they crossed the border and came up here, spent the weekend here. And Mike and I went and ironically timed, the record show in our city, of which there's 2 of them, was on Saturday. And it was 2 blocks from Mike's in-laws. So I picked Mike up and we went to the record show and did not expect much. And I got a lot of stuff, and Mike got a lot of stuff. It was great. And then we went up for lunch, and then we went to the Whitehorse concert on Sunday, and it was incredible. That was great. So had a very fun weekend. So, yeah. The big news, though, tomorrow is opening day. I'm very, 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 very excited. I can tell you that I am going to take my seat from the Rogers Center, which is sitting right over there, and I'm going to drag that around the corner and park it squarely in front of my 75-inch TV. And I'm going to sit in my seat from the stadium and watch opening day uninterrupted on my 75-inch TV. That's my plan for tomorrow afternoon. So very much looking forward to that. And I'm cautiously optimistic that it's not going to be the shit show that it was last year. I mean, we're not going to win a World Series or anything, but let's just hope we're a little better than last year. So here's looking forward to that. Tim wants to know, has anyone picked up the Rush 40th anniversary? No. I like Rush, but I don't need any. I know it sounds very un-Canadian, but I like it when I hear it, but I don't need to own any. So,
And I have almost everything in that box is stuff I have. I know there's a lot of live this and that. And for me, it's not essential, and it's really expensive. So,
yeah, that's true. It is. Chris is saying, thanks to me, he's going down, the rabbit hole of Bruce Springsteen. Yeah, that's fun. I'm only halfway through it, and I'm 6 months. I don't want to just buy a record and listen to it once and I want to absorb those albums, right? So.
Okay, so here's a question for you, Rob. So one of the albums that was completely warped at the station that I found was The River.
Right.
What's your thoughts on The River?
I love The River.
Yeah.
Love it.
That's why I was bummed, because I was like, I saw it and I was excited, and then boom, I looked at it and I went, that's not going to play.
I think, I mean, as far as I'm concerned, all all the stuff through, is it Lucky Town in the early 90s? I think all those are great, with the exception of, I think the Wild, the Innocent, and the E Street Shuffle is kind of, it's good. Like, I don't dislike it, but I don't like it as much as I like the other ones. I don't know if that's a hot take or not. I don't know what Springsteen fans feel about it, but I love all of those albums. They're fantastic. So, yeah. John says he picked up the Rush box set,
Yeah,
and then he set it right back down because it was too expensive.
that's right. Yeah, exactly.
Plus, it's huge. It weighs like 40 pounds.
Well, there's two versions, right? There's, I'm not sure, some slightly smaller version, and then the insane version as well.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think in the one you get all of Neil's drum set. You get a whole drum set with your box set, I think. Then I'd pick it up. But
Sure, why not?
yeah.
One day we have to have Tim on here. Tim doesn't have a channel, but Tim's in Ottawa, and he has this uncanny knack for meeting everyone. And apparently, he's met Bruce, and Bruce signed his copy of Nebraska.
I saw that.
Jesus.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Good Lord. Julie's here. Yes, we're talking about women in music. So that's the topic in honor of Women's History Month. So we're going to get around to that in a couple minutes. So Record Hound says he's got a spare copy of The River if you want it, Daryl.
I'll sure. Sure, why not?
It's a great
I'll let
album.
you guys can connect somehow.
For sure.
So, yeah, we're talking women in music tonight because was it Daryl or Joe? Which one of you came up with this idea? I don't remember.
Joe did.
There you go. I never come up with the ideas, everybody. I'm just the facilitator. I never have ideas. So it's Women's History Month, so we figured we'd talk about some of our favorite women, whether they're solo artists, whether they're in bands, whether they're the lead singer of a band, whether they play the kazoo in a band. Who the hell cares? Women in music,
Exactly.
whatever form that may take, is kind of what we're talking about tonight. So we'll start off, as we always do, with our guest of the week, Richard. Take us away, man.
Sure thing. Well, I figure if you're going to start out, you might as well start big or go home, right?
Right.
So how about one of the sirens of the 60s, one Grace Slick?
Absolutely.
And I followed Grace Slick and Airplane and Jefferson Starship and all of that, since forever. I got into Grace Slick as far as hearing her as a vocalist in Jefferson Starship. So then she was in Jefferson Starship, and then she left, and then she came back, and then started doing her own solo thing. So, Surrealistic Pillows, definitely, a Slick classic. But, then you got the other end of the spectrum where we built this city.
No.
Okay.
Did that come up on the earworms?
Am I the only person in the world that fucking loves that song?
No, I don't see the hate in it. I love that song.
I don't
too.
get it. I love it. I can listen to it every day.
It's
Well,
fine.
yeah, then there's something seriously wrong with you if that's the case. But I
Well.
still like you anyway.
This is not news to anybody that's watched this channel for any period of time. So
But Grace Slick also did some solo albums. She did some in her early days. She did some in the 80s. This is my favorite of her 80s stuff. It's the first one she did in the 80s. Then it's called Dreams. It's kind of all over the map stylistically. And then she did a couple of more solo albums and then just kind of packed her singing career away and famously quoted as saying, like, older women have no place on the rock stage. And she just went into art and has her own art gallery and sells, her artwork through that. And I don't know if she even does meet and greet type things. I really don't think she does much these
I
days.
think she's totally out of the disassociated with the music business.
Too much
I think so.
surrealistic LSD.
Probably.
So that's what I got.
Cool. That's a great first start.
It is.
Chris is talking about someone having a poo.
Yeah.
which was shocking. And then I realized he made a typo, and he says, "Am I the only person who remembers a drummer in the video that has an amazing mullet and an outstanding mustache?" I'd rather see someone take a poo because that'd be hilarious. Not that I want to watch people poo, but that's not what you would expect in a music video. So
It's not.
that would be hilarious.
It is kind of what I think about We Built This City, but again, we'll leave it at that.
Okay, so why does that song suck so bad? I've yet for anyone to ever satisfactorily explain why it sucks.
I won't necessarily say that it sucks. It's definitely one of those that I've heard too many times. It's almost like Jefferson Starship at that point bought all of the radio stations just so they could play their song ad nauseum over and over and over. That's
Gotcha.
why. And it's the same thing with Bryan Adams. I don't hate the music. I hate the number of times that I've heard it, and I'm tired of it. So yeah, don't hate the song. And it's kind of fun if you watch the I guess the movie versus the stage play of what was that rock one that was out there with Tom Cruise in it? Good Lord. Anyway, there's a good version in there. I digress. I don't hate the song. I hate the number of times I've heard the song.
Chris is saying apparently there was a world record where they put someone in a glass queue and they had to replay that song for 24 hours. That maybe would drive you nuts after a bit, but
Yeah.
Ryan likes Grace Slick and the Great Society. I'm not
Have
familiar.
that too.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah, she's 85 years old now. Incredible. Okay, Daryl, Joe, which one do you want to go next?
Go ahead, Daryl.
All right, Daryl.
All right,
The
so
floor is
kind of
yours.
sticking with the theme of original gangsters, I guess we'll call it. If we're going to go with Grace Slick, you might as well tail off with someone who unfortunately lost their life way too early. We'll go with some Janis Joplin and
Yes.
Pearl. I just recently got into Janis Joplin. I mean, when I was a kid, my dad and mom didn't listen to any of this stuff. There was no Hendrix, no Joplin, none of that in my household, but I came across this, and me and Bobby McGee, Mercedes Benz, Half Moon. I mean, these are all great songs, and I believe that's her backing band there. But if I could go back in time and watch a concert with Janis Joplin, I mean, that would be amazing. I mean, once again, just that what do they call it? The 27 group there,
27 Club.
27 Club. Just too soon, but fantastic music. Taken me a little while to get into it, but I figured I'd start mine off definitely with some Janis Joplin because she's kind of the original, one of the originals for that rock and roll, that kind of music. You know, got it all started.
You mentioned her band on that album. That's the Full Tilt Boogie Band from Stratford, Ontario. Which is also the home of The Band. Must be something in the water in Stratford.
Yep.
Also the home of Justin Bieber, so that brings it down a notch.
Well, they put that's what after they put the fluoride in, I guess maybe.
Oh, there you go. That's what I still don't have a copy of Pearl, and I need to get one because it's a good record.
Mm-hmm.
I know, what a
Big
shame,
Brother-
man.
Big Brother and the Holding Company as well, right? Earlier than that as well.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Record Hound says Joplin in concert has a lot from her Festival Express performance. Good TLP set. Oh, that's cool. I didn't even know that was out.
Yeah.
Okay, Joe.
All right. Quick, if I may. I had something planned. I don't think that many people knew about it, but in case you did, I'm going to start a game show. I'm going to run it an hour after we finish here on Wednesday nights. It's going to be kind of music trivia, just having some fun. I came across some piece of software on a Monday afternoon sitting here, and that's what it built into. So tested it out a little bit. Trevor and I played a little on Sunday. So I'm going to do that next Wednesday. I was going to do it tonight, but I'm not going to do it this evening now. Something's changed, and I want to have some fun with it. Just talk to some more people. Yeah, Chris was watching as well. So that was supposed to be tonight. It's now going to be next Wednesday, and it's going to be at 11 Eastern, which I know is pretty late for all the Eastern people, but I want to give us lots of time to finish. And then I kind of want a built-in audience because we have all the big numbers. It's like coming in after Friends on Thursday nights used to be.
Yeah.
That's what it is. Yeah, that's what it is.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. So that's going to be next Wednesday. For those that care, it'll be fun. Go to my channel. I explain it a little bit. It'll be fun. I am going to start with a couple of things. Actually, I'm going to start with this one. And what this is this is MTV's High Priority. It's still in the shrink, and I don't know why I didn't take it off, but I didn't.
Rip it and rip it.
Yeah, fine. Let's do that. 'Cause
Yeah.
that is fine. Here we go.
Hold on. I got a full screen you. Hold on. Okay.
Here we go. So shrink coming off. Ta-da! There
That's
we go.
satisfying.
That's satisfying, isn't it?
Good Lord.
Exactly. And now it needs a sleeve, but we'll talk more about sleeves later.
Later on.
Not right
We'll
now.
talk about that.
Not right now. We'll talk about it more. But this is, if you find it out there, and unfortunately, it's a fundraiser. It was a fundraiser for breast cancer awareness. And some of the artists on here, I'll go through them quick. Aretha Franklin with the Eurythmics. Sisters are doing it by themselves. But the Bangles, Stevie Nicks, Whitney Houston, Cyndi Lauper, Patti LaBelle, Pat Benatar, Hart, Belinda Carlisle, Grace Jones, and Bananarama are all on this. And it was to raise awareness for breast cancer. There's actually how to give yourself. And I won't show it too close because YouTube, despite the fact it is a positive reason, there are kind of some animated breasts on here. Anyway, it shows you how to give yourself a test and all the proceeds. And it talks a lot about the best case scenarios and what you can do to help out as well. So although the sales of this album are not going towards that, still a wonderful cause to support out there. And part of why we're doing this evening. And then I've also got the blue or the teal ribbon on, and that is for ovarian cancer. So another female cancer cause, obviously. So support the ladies, support what you can, do what you can to help out with those causes, because I do not understand how we have not cured some of these diseases yet. But regardless of that, let's just continue to do what we can and help out. So there you go. That's number one. MTV High Priority to start us off.
That is a good place to start, Joe.
Thanks.
Okay. I'm going to show this at the risk of losing half the audience, but I'm going to do it anyway. Because I have to start here. Okay. I'm going to preface this by saying there are a lot of people that hate this woman's music, and there's a lot of people who love this person's music. I happen to be in the category. I love this woman's music. But I show her first because, like her or hate her, I don't think you can argue that there's not a more influential person in music today, and very few that have surpassed her, the amount of sway that she carries maybe ever in music. With that said, I'm going to show Taylor Swift. I get a lot of people hate her, and that's cool. I like her. Like what you like. Don't judge other people for what they like, right? It's a thing. It's a subjective thing. It's what you derive enjoyment from. Do I like all of her stuff? No. Do I like Evermore? Yeah, I think it's fantastic. But I have such admiration, or not admiration, respect for this young woman who, by all accounts, is a pretty incredible person and down to earth and spends millions of dollars on charity, which she can afford to because she's a billionaire. It appears by all accounts she was raised very well. And this is a person who's grown up since she was 15 years old in the public eye. And I don't think you can argue she's probably the most famous person in the world and still has her head on her shoulders. Countless others have gone cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. So like her music or don't like her music, she has accomplished incredible things. The amount of work she's put out. She's re-recorded 2/3 of her catalog so she could get the rights back. She's fought for other artists when Apple was screwing them on iTunes. So nothing but respect for Miss Swift and everything she's done. And I also think her music's fantastic. So there you go. Taylor Swift.
Plus, she is a plus for the vinyl community in general.
Sure.
Because there's been plants, I think, this may be a bit of a stretch, but there's been record pressing plants built to accommodate the number of albums for her to be pressed. But then at the same time, once they were online, helped fill that backlog as well. So,
To expand on that, think of how massive her fan base is and how many, because she puts everything out on vinyl, how many people have come into vinyl records through her music. And that is a fantastic thing for all of us. Because when the record boom started, 15 years ago, it was very hard to get a record pressed. Not so hard anymore because there's a lot more places doing it. And a big part of that is the number of people that are buying new records because of artists like her.
Exactly. Yep.
Oh, I can attest, just being a teacher, that some of the students that I have, I mean, they're not like big vinyl collectors like you and I, but I would say if I were to poll the kids that have bought records from my school, almost every one of them would have at least one Taylor record, guaranteed.
Yeah.
That and Billie Eilish, the two of them.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. And we didn't even lose any viewers by me showing a Taylor Swift record. So this is fantastic. We're on fire here tonight.
That's good.
Record says not a Swiftie, but I can't slag anyone for liking her. I don't think you can slag. I mean, yes, thank you. And I respect that comment. There's too many gatekeepers in this little community of ours. Like what you like. Don't shit on other people for what they like, right? I mean, fuck, who cares? It's the same as I've said before. People go, oh, I can't like that record because it's too commercial. Like when you talk about Fleetwood Mac's Rumors. Who gives a shit? People like it. If you don't like it, cool. So yeah, I respect your comment there, Record Hound. That's the way to do it. Like what you like, right? Lots of pressing have been put on hold to come. Yeah, that is the downside. True. She obviously gets put to the front of the line. So okay, let's go around again, Richard.
Well, let's keep it in the classic rock arena for now. I have shoegaze. I will show that for my shoegaze people.
Good.
But
Do you want to gaze at my shoe? There it is.
no, that's okay.
Sorry, threw you right off there.
PU.
Richard's got a shoe fetish, I guess.
Yeah, no.
Okay, I'll shut up. Go ahead. Sorry.
Okay. Yeah, Heart. What more can you say about, Nancy and Ann Wilson that hasn't been said over and over and over? Rock and roll icons as far as vocalists, guitars, what have you. I got into Heart kind of, Dogged Butterfly era and then up from there. I saw them in my hometown and John Cougar opened. And to me, John Cougar blew them off the stage. They were Heart was supporting their Private Audition album, which was kind of, kind of tepid mid-'80s stuff that they were doing before kind of more of a resurrection. I mean, I like, full-on guts out there and guns blazing Heart. So, just a greatest hits album. I mean, look at that band. Come on. What do you want? So yeah, I mean, they have staying power. Nancy Wilson's vocals are still spot on despite a lot of health issues she's been having over the years, and they're still around. And what more can be said? So I give you the grand dames of the rock arena.
A very good one.
And I think she's performing in a wheelchair these days too. That I think, right? So still putting on a
sounds
show for her
fantastic.
fans. Yeah, exactly. I think a lot of people, I'm not sure, maybe it's not the time frame for you guys, but I think a lot of people thought they were Canadian because Seattle, and then they were on Mushroom Records as well to begin with. So I think they got a lot of really good traction in Canada to start with. But so I'll take credit for them. There's a bunch of bands that I won't take credit for, but if they want to pretend they're Canadian, Heart's okay. I know they're not. I know it was Seattle, but still. So.
Okay, Daryl.
All right. My next one, why don't we go with a female musician that had a tumultuous relationship with her first husband to the point where it was rumored for the longest time that one of the songs she wrote was actually about him. We'll go with some Carly Simon, because her and James had quite the relationship for the first 2 years. But I mean, there's no denying Carly Simon with Mockingbird. What else is on here? You're So Vain is the big one. I used to have a roommate in university who would we would. You remember Speaker's Corner on Much Music? Well, him and I got drunk one night and went on Speaker's Corner, and we sang Mockingbird and You're So Vain to all the people live in Toronto. It was just a wonderful time, only to find out that I didn't even get to see it. My next door neighbors saw it on TV live. We were
that would be fantastic if you had a copy of that somewhere. That needs to be found in an archive somewhere, but
yeah, it would have been when I was in Windsor. We were at the speaker's corner there. But yeah, I mean, Carly Simon, I mean, what else can I say about her? I mean, she's had a slew of hits. I don't know. Is she still performing these days? I'm not sure.
I don't think so.
I don't know. Yeah.
She was not there when they did her Rock and Roll Hall of Fame induction. So
yeah, for sure. I mean, You're So Vain. I mean, for years and years, I mean, they assumed it was about James. And then I think she full out came on and said that it was about him. So hey,
that song came up when you were gone because there's a guy that sings backup vocals subtly on that one. So
that's right.
For those that missed that episode, Mick Jagger sings on that song.
Yes.
So not about him, but he sings on it. And you can tell. I don't know if you can tell until you know he's there. I couldn't tell until I knew he was there. And then you can hear him a little bit. So, yeah.
Okay. Joe.
Good choice with Carly. I like Carly. All right. Back in my adolescent, teenage, hormone-filled days, these young ladies did it for me. And I always enjoyed the Runaways. Short-lived, mind you, but always a big fan of the Runaways. And this is kind of a cool album. You get the full-blown shot in the gatefold, and then you've got a bunch of pictures on the inside. But again, in my teenage years, a bunch of good-looking girls, kind of my age, a little bit older than I would have been at the time, because this was 77 or 79. Please hold. This was 1977, so I would have been 12. So yeah, they were a little older, but I aged a couple of years once I saw the Runaways. But anyway, I digress. So that's where it started, was the Runaways, and I'm going to do a 3 for quick, because then where it went was Joan Out on Her Own. For as much as Rob's part-time fantasy whatever wife Susanna is, and Joan's a lesbian, so I don't have a shot like I ever had a shot anyway. There you go. That's a great album too. That's a good one. But this is cool. Just a great shot. Joan Jett, I was hoping to go see her. I might still do it. I've seen everybody else that's playing up in Edmonton, and I've seen Joan before, but I want to go one more time and go and see her. So we've got a concert in town that she might play at, which would be cool. But anyway, from the Runaways, Joan Jett, of course. And then the other one, quickly, Lita Ford, who is I think the only other that had any somewhat success. Obviously, this album, and then the song with Ozzy, Close Your Eyes Forever. I think there was a later drummer that was in the Runaways that became one of not the Bangles, I can't remember. But anyway, of the main core band of the Runaways, Lita and obviously Joan, the biggest success afterwards. So there you go, a little good old metal hair and some tattoos going on, and very good guitar player. I was a little upset, unfortunately, because COVID hit and I had tickets to go see Alice Cooper with Lita opening for Alice Cooper, which would have been an awesome show. Would have got him, would have got Nita Strauss, both playing guitars in the same show. But that got canceled to COVID, and then when he came back around again, it was Buck Cherry, unfortunately, that opened instead. So I've never seen Lita. Will want to see Joan again, and away you go. There's my childhood sweethearts that continue to be my childhood sweethearts, I guess, into my 60s.
So here's a pretty cool thing about the Runaways is Jackie Fox. Recently, she's a gamer, and I mean, you guys know that I collect board games and stuff. She actually has invented a board game about the rock and roll scene of the 1970s, and
cool.
Like all the board game enthusiasts have said, it's a pretty classic game. Like it's not your Monopoly. Like it's a really good board game. I can't remember what it's called, but yeah, Jackie Fox is big into the gaming scene and is keeping that hobby alive too.
Awesome, good. I will have to check that out. So that's great.
Okay. Since Joe went with his adolescent,
whatever you want to call it,
congratulations, I'll do the same thing. Wow, this is
right.
Okay. You know what? We'll start. I'm going to do a twofer because I can. I'll start with my adolescent infatuation. And bear in mind, ladies and gentlemen, I'm not saying this is good music. Just bearing in mind that young Rob was about 14 years old.
Yep.
I mean, what more do I say, right?
Yeah. That's all you got to
I was
say.
I was a Spice Girl fan back in the day. You know what? I still put this on and enjoy it. Is it good music? Fuck no. Is it fun to listen to? Yes. So
Yeah.
not all music has to be good, right? Then we'll go to my fantasy wife. Listen, I joke about her being my fantasy wife, and I think she's one of the most beautiful women on the planet and has the voice of an angel. Aside from all of that, I truly am a massive fan of her music. Susanna Hoffs from the Bangles. I will show the Bangles later, but I'm going to show Susie's solo record. She put out a solo record in the late 90s. Don't remember what it was called, but she just put this out back in November of this year, and it is called The Lost Record. This is an album she recorded in the late 90s, just before, because the Bangles reunited in 2000, 2001, something like that. So she recorded this in 1999 in LA and never released it until just this past fall. There are some songs that are on here that would go on to be on the Bangles reunion record, which is called Doll Revolution. But this is great. And when I was reading the liner notes and stuff, you always see the names that appear on hundreds of albums. Well, there's a drummer on here by the name of Jim Keltner who plays on. We could do a week just on his albums because they swear I have 50 albums that the man plays on.
Yeah.
This is just a fun late 90s pop rock record by Susanna Hoffs. Superficial joking aside, I love her music and her voice. So there you go.
Yep.
What's Chris saying? Probably something smart ass about the Spice Girls.
Yeah.
You gotta pick a Ginger Spice, mate. What? I like Ginger. She's my favorite Spice Girl now. Married to Christian Horner, head of the Red Bull F1 team. Joe and I are big racing fans. I hate Red Bull with a passion. I am Aston Martin all the way to the point that there's an Aston Martin sitting right on my desk because I'm a big Fernando Alonso fan. Can't stand Red Bull. JWG Moore. My music crush was always Olivia Newton-John. Can't go wrong with that either. My wife and I were talking about this. I hate Grease 1, but I love Grease 2 with Michelle Pfeiffer. Whew, holy macaroni.
I think 99% of your love of that is Michelle Pfeiffer, though. No,
not 99, but 110.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay, fair enough. Good.
Absolutely. It's a shit movie. So.
Yeah.
All right, let's go around again here. There we go, Richard.
That's me.
It's you.
How about punk rock?
Sure.
Awesome.
Debbie Harry and Blondie, one of the, I guess, early contenders of the punk scene, at least in America. But you get the LA scene, East Coast scene. But anyway, this is by far my favorite Blondie. I know a lot of people like Parallel Lines better. Other people are, Plastic Letters. I'm the Eat to the Beat guy. I think there's no filler on this album whatsoever. And it's just, to me, this is quintessential Blondie, not Heart of Glass. I like Heart of Glass. I got sick of Heart of Glass. I got played to death. But I saw Blondie several years ago. They got back together and they did an album. I think it's called Pollinator. Can't remember. Anyway, I have the album on CD. I don't have it on vinyl. But they're still a tight band, and Debbie Harry can still sing. Does she look as fantabulous as she did in the 80s and 70s? Maybe not, but it still worked. It was still a fun show. So there.
That's right.
And it's true. I'm not lying. Anyway, I can't remember who opened. Oh, it was Garbage and Blondie. Garbage opened. That was a good show too. So Gwen, it's a Gwen Stefani in Garbage.
No,
Shirley Manson.
Shirley
That's
Manson, yeah. Who just
Anyway.
announced I saw some dates today coming in North America, which would be kind of cool. Sorry, go ahead.
Ooh, that would be good.
Yeah.
I saw Garbage way back when, but hey, we're talking about Blondie. Debbie Harry's solo stuff, not so much. Not my thing.
Cuckoo.
I have at least 3 or 4 Blondie records up to even The Hunter, which is definitely not Blondie's greatest moment. But quintessential punk gal. What can you say about Debbie Harry? So
there's a song that was later in their career, and by later I mean the 90s, Maria. And I can't remember what album that's on, but that's a killer song. That is a fantastic song.
Mhm.
That was kind of the last somewhat hurrah, kind of. Yeah, just a really, really great song. And I think it's like a 90s album that I don't know if I've seen. I'm sure it's out there somewhere, but yeah, if you're looking for something a little different for later Blondie, that's a great song. I'm not sure about the whole album, but yeah.
Cool. Daryl.
Right. All right. So, Richard, I was going to show this later, but I'll just briefly show it. But the Auto American album, the one with Tide is High and Rapture, I think is also on this. Just picked this one up yesterday at the radio show. So,
Good.
throw that one in there. But my next pick, actually,
you unlawfully obtained it.
I unlawfully obtained it. It's funny. Somebody was walking by the door and they know me and they're like, he's stealing stuff from there. He's stealing stuff. I was just like, all right. So my next pick. So last month, the month of February was actually Black History Month. And so this month is Women's Month. So I'm going to kind of combine the two with this next one, going into the, I guess you would say, disco, funk, maybe R&B-ish type. We don't usually see this group in the VC very often. 4 women, We Are Family, and Sister Sledge. Sister Sledge. So I'm not really, I mean, we've talked about this before. You all know my love of ABBA and the whole disco era and all that kind of stuff. I'm not a huge fan of it, but I do like Sister Sledge. They're pretty cool and actually very, very attractive back in the day. So yeah, this just has We Are Family, but the whole thing is really good. I mean, that late 70s disco stuff. So I wanted to get that in. I don't have any I don't have any 60s stuff like the Shirelles or the Chiffons or anything like that, or the Supremes. I wish I did, because I would have shown them, but I don't have it. So I went 70s wise with an all-female band of that era. So yeah, I'll give disco its props, and I'll definitely give, I don't even know if Sister Sledge even exists anymore, but pretty neat for that time period, you know.
Now I got to go pull some Supremes before it's my turn.
Yeah.
Joe.
I just wrote down a name that if none of us bring up, we should not be allowed back on again if we're talking about women. Because I know I didn't, but Daryl mentioning it made me think of it. So I'm going to leave it and I'm not going to bring it up. And hopefully one of us shows it. But if not, we're banned. That's it. We're done. So, uh-oh.
What if it's me that doesn't bring it up? Then this whole stream's over.
Well, if it gets close to the end, I'll go and grab it. I mean, I can just talk about it, and then, but I just don't want to take it if someone's going to say it, because I don't have the full. So, all right. So Richard brought up punk. My question to the group is, if the artist has already put electrical tape over their nipples, do I have to cover their nipples for them so that they can be shown on this? What do you think?
I don't think so. I think you're good.
Okay, I think so too. Because if Blondie was punk, Wendy Williams and the Plasmatics were punk another step up. Yeah, punker, exactly. That's a good way of putting it. And this is a great album. I think, I don't know if they only had 4, but I can remember 4 anyway. But I chose this one. I'm not exactly sure why. Just because I think because actually she was the least scantily clad on the cover of this album. I'm not sure if that's possible or not, but Emil and the Sniffers. I don't know if anybody's familiar with or not,
Oh,
but
yeah.
Australian band, and somewhat reminiscent, only because the lead singer is somewhat Wendy Williams, capable of a performer. Back in the day, I'll tell the story quick. There was a show called The Late Show, or Tomorrow, actually. It was called Tomorrow. It was Tom Snyder. He used to come on after Carson, and he would always have some interesting bands. Kiss was on there, but he had Wendy Williams and the Plasmatics on there once, and they blew up a car and all the explosions, and it almost screwed the cameras up, and it screwed their sound men up. It's a fantastic clip if you can find it, but it's just them going insane. And then real quick, and there's the back, just more horse stuff, crazy stuff on the back. But I wanted to show, this is I really like this album. So I have put it in a Vinyl Storage Solutions, not just a 1 mil. This is a 2 mil Premium Plus Master Sleeve. And I don't know if you can see that. And of course, there's lots of colored lights going on here. But anyway, this is fantastic. If you are looking for that step up, you can get the basic sleeves. They're going to protect your albums. But if you want, get yourself a Premium Plus Master Sleeve. VinylStorageSolutions.ca. This is the 2 mil. They have 1 mil, 3 mil, 2 mil. They have inner sleeves and outer sleeves. It's a lovely outer sleeve on this. It's a lovely inner sleeve on this. And if you use the promo code Northern10, it will get you 10% off. And you too can get a wonderful 2 mil Premium Plus Master Sleeve and put one of your favorite Plasmatics albums in it.
Well said. You know what I'm going to do for next week? I'm going to have a QR code that I'm going to have pop up on the screen. So people can just scan the QR code and take you right there.
Awesome. Good.
How's that for thinking?
Joe,
Very nice.
question about that album. Is that the one that Gene Simmons produced?
I don't know. I thought that was her solo, because she did a solo album without, and he was actually on it. There was a few artists that were on it, but he may have done this one too. I'll check. Move on, and I'll check and let you know. But yeah, she had a solo where it wasn't and the Plasmatics. It was just Wendy O. Williams. So.
Okay. I'm going to show a record for an artist that I know that Daryl and I are big fans of. You know where I'm going, right, Daryl?
Oh yeah.
And I'm not going with what you think I'm going with. Look at this.
Oh,
wow.
So, Amanda Marshall. Yeah, the new one. Daryl and I have talked about her before. We're huge fans. Huge fans. Great singer-songwriter from Toronto. Had 2.5 massive albums in the late 90s, early 2000s. Had a unintentional 15-year hiatus due to legal reasons, let's just say, and then recorded a comeback album just before the pandemic, and then just started touring for it last year. And this is the comeback album, Heavy Lifting. Have you heard this yet, Daryl?
I have not.
Okay, so you and I both love the first two albums and think they're pretty much perfect.
Mm-hmm.
The third album, I'm not a huge fan of. The single, which was Sunday Morning, I think was awesome, but it's a little too R&B-ish for me, the rest of the album.
Yeah.
So if they put it out on vinyl, I'm going to buy it. But so this still has a little bit of that R&B, but it goes a little more back to the way the first two albums were. So knowing that how you feel about this artist, you'll like this. So I'd recommend buying it. I went to one record store since November, and this was in there, and it was $20. It was marked down. And I'm like, well, shit, I might as well buy it. And it's also like her other albums. This one's on red vinyl.
Oh,
in a Vinyl Storage Solutions inner sleeve. So, yeah, I've said before, Amanda Marshall is kind of like a Sheryl Crow with a little bit of soul. Incredibly powerful voice. So, one of a very entertaining, very talented singer songwriter. So,
okay, I gotta look for that one.
Yeah. It's good. It's much better than her third album. So, but not as good as Tuesday's Child or the self-titled.
She might be making a presence later on tonight.
Okay, then. Excellent. Do I have a QR code with Joe's face on it? No.
I don't know where if you scan this. I don't know where it's going to take you. I don't think you want to go there though.
Yeah.
So,
Record Hound did a major, or did you use my promo code? I hope you did. Save yourself some money.
Exactly.
And made me a bit of money. When I say a bit, like I'm talking, it's just, I'm not in it for the money. So, but yes, they are excellent. And whether I get a paycheck from them or not, I think their products are fantastic. So, all good.
In answer to your question, Richard, quick, it was her solo album, Wow. And almost everybody from Kiss, Eric Carr was on it, Ace was on it, Paul was on it, Gene was on it, but he was registered as Reginald Van Helsing, and he produced it. So if you're looking for, and actually there was a bunch of songs that almost were supposed to be Kiss songs as well, according to the Discogs entry
Night,
for
Chris.
that.
Night, Chris.
Night, Chris.
Okay. Richard, take it away. I'll be right back. I'm going to say goodnight to the boy. So take it away.
I will do a shoegaze selection. Hang on. If I can get it out. Anyone familiar with the Cocteau Twins?
I know the name. That's about it, though. To be honest, yeah.
Fair enough. Well, Cocteau Twins were a trio, very ethereal, very dream pop, but the star of the show is the vocalist, one Elizabeth Fraser, and her vocals are just stunning on every album they ever did. She was an opera-trained singer, so her voice is just soaring on some of these songs. I got familiar with them through MTV's 120 Minutes on a song off of this album. This is Bluebell Knoll, a song called Carolyn's Fingers, and it's just stunning. It's like, how does she sing like that? And there's nothing really exceptional about the cover art, but more people might be familiar with their Heaven in Las Vegas album. This one they're known for quirky song titles. So we have Cherry Colored Funk, Ice Blink Luck. I can't even pronounce that one. It's written as I don't know. Anyway, but they do quirky. They're quirky. Let's just leave it at that. But it's ethereal. It's dream pop. It's just lush and just soundscapes. And every album I have by them, I would just describe them all as absolutely beautiful and stunning and magnificent, if not just for Elizabeth Fraser's vocals. What is another one of my shoegaze ones? I had these all in order. What happened? Always happens. Slow Dive?
Nope.
No? Okay. Well, Slow Dive.
I don't know Slow Dive, but I can tell you that Souvlaki is an amazing.
It's a good meal, too.
Yeah, this is their big album. This is a Music on Vinyl reissue that I picked up years and years ago. But they're kind of like a mainstay of one of the groups that really kind of define what shoegaze is all about, with the fuzzy guitars and the reverb drenched everything. But a standout on here is also this young lady, and I can't remember her name, so I got to look it up because I'm old and I forget things. Rachel Goswell, the lead singer for Slow Dive. Similar thing, just not as ethereal as Elizabeth Fraser's stuff, but definitely soaring and definitely carries a lot of their songs. I have almost everything by Slow Dive except one album that's kind of eluding me, or if I do find it, it's like, you want how much for that? Yeah. So, great place to start if you're kind of going, what's shoegaze all about? This album in particular, because there's not one bad song on it. And that is my Shoegaze 101 women vocalist in shoegaze, and there will be more. I promise you.
Okay.
All right. Well done. Well done. Even though I missed most of it. Well done anyway.
It was. No, it was. It's always safe. It's always a safe thing to say "well done" when Richard is done speaking.
Right?
It is always well done. Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I had to say goodnight to my son. I wasn't perfect. I wasn't purposely.
I know.
He's talking about shoegaze. I gotta go do something.
Like, oh, that crap.
Oh, Jesus, that shit. All right, Daryl, what you got?
All right, so I think I'd be remiss if I didn't bring up this band from the late 70s, early 80s with a female front woman, I guess you would say. Front. I'm so used to saying front man, but it would be a front woman from that rock era, new wave stuff. And I mean, Chrissie Hynde, the Pretenders.
Yes.
You can't. I mean, the 80s is just not the 80s without the Pretenders and Chrissie Hynde. Funny enough, this once belonged to somebody from Moose Factory, Ontario.
It did it? Oh yeah, sure.
And on the backside, they circled Brass in Pocket, which is the main single from this album. So, you know, I mean, this is a good album. I wouldn't say it's a great album. I like Brass in Pocket, but I prefer some of their later stuff. But yeah, no, Chrissie Hynde, and I think she did some duets and stuff later on. Kind of did some solo stuff, I believe. So yeah, you got to mention Chrissie Hynde if we're talking about 80s rock, and new wave. Yeah.
Yep. Good
Absolutely. Stuff. Okay, Joe.
I'm up. All right. I'm going to do a forfer, but it's going to be a quick where we started and where we ended up. So to start with, and this one, I don't know if anything surprises people because I have a fairly wide a wide range of taste. Let's put it that way. But what I want to start with is Blossom Dearie. So jazz pianist, really fantastic. And one of those artists, no idea about, but here, someone said, here, take these, try this, you'll like it. And I certainly did. I have a couple of hers, but real quick, born in 1924 in upstate New York. Dearie was playing piano at a young age, trained classically, but by high school started playing jazz piano in the dance band. I said UK. I don't know why I said UK, but just really, really great, fantastic stuff, early stuff, and really good. And then from there, we went to Dusty Springfield, a little blue-eyed soul, really, really good again. I'm not sure if I necessarily have to be in a mood to listen to Dusty. Sometimes I do, but great stuff as well. There you go. Julie likes it. That's good. And then a little more modern jazz take is Duffy. And I can't remember if she came before, after, or during Amy, because it's similar. I wouldn't call it the same, but I would say that it's similar. Voices, kind of, style, kind of a little bit. Amy Winehouse, one of those artists that, spoiler alert, was one of the artists that changed my mind on the video that I have out currently. Not sure why I didn't get it to start with, but now I do, and it's really good. And this Dusty one is also very good. Not to be confused with Dusty Springfield, just happens to have the same name, but fantastic voice and really good. So, you know, we've got a little older jazz females. I would think you would kind of call this bluesy, jazzy rock, some kind of combination, but good stuff. It would have been interesting, I think, to have seen, because she got her shit together and then Amy, unfortunately, passed away. It would have been interesting, I think, to see where she might have taken that whole genre, because there's some out there now too. There's a young performer. She was on, I think, the Academy Awards. Her name is Ray. Falls into that category a little bit as well. I don't have any of her stuff, but really, really good. And not necessarily mood music, but great stuff. So there you go. A forfer.
I agree with you about that Duffy. I actually thought it was Amy Winehouse for the longest time.
Yeah.
I forget what the name of that single is she did, but
yeah, I can't remember it off the top of my head.
I thought it was Amy for the longest time.
Yeah. Stepping Stone, maybe, I think, maybe. Yeah. But it's good. It's good. And you know what? What the hell? Before we move on, real quick, I'll add another one in there because I was going to save her. But Elle King, which is a little more country-ish than she is that, but she can fall into that category as well. Love her voice, good stuff, catchy, poppy, tongue-in-cheek songs.
good stuff. So there, I got that one. Yeah, Mercy. There you go. Julie's got it. Mercy is the single by Duffy. Yeah. There you go.
Okay. I'm gonna go off something Daryl said last round when he talked about mentioned the Supremes. I grew up in a household where my father loved those, 60s Motown girl groups. So I love all of it. Like whatever they are, whether it's the Ronettes, whatever, doesn't matter. Love it all. Fantastic. I don't have nearly enough of it because I don't see it anywhere. So, I mean, you start off with, I mean, the biggest of them all, I guess, the Supremes, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think Dad's favorite was the Supremes. That's the one I seem to remember playing the most, and he met one of them, and I can't remember. It wasn't Diana Ross. I don't remember who it was. I have to ask my mom. But yeah, so Supremes, I only have the greatest hits because, frankly, that's all I need, to be quite honest.
Yeah.
The only other one I have, which is, I think, my favorite of the girl groups, and I've shown it before, was the Crystals. The one, He's a Rebel. That was a big one they did. Their other big one was To Do Run Run. They also did Then He Kissed Me. Had a few other songs. So this was a Phil Spector produced group. So massive respect to those Motown girl groups from the 60s. I mean, those harmonies and everything are just absolutely incredible. So wish I had more of it. You just I don't see it out there. So
yeah. I mean, I look for that stuff, and it's out there, but it's some of that older style music that is still very highly sought after. And Ronnie Spector, for me, could sing the phone book. Wouldn't give a shit. Yeah,
Amen.
It's just so good, all of them. But she's one of my favorites for sure.
Yep. That's even when you're not in the mood to listen to that stuff, you're still in the mood to listen to it when it comes on.
Yeah, for sure.
Every time I hear those types of bands, it reminds me of Adventures in Babysitting.
Yeah,
played a lot of those in there.
They did. Absolutely. Okay. Richard, back to you.
Back again? Woohoo!
Yeah, man.
Let's go back to the 90s-ish, I think. Let me look at when this album came out. Whoa, it was 1990 exactly. And anyone familiar with the Sundays?
A little. Again, I know the name, and I've probably heard some, but
okay.
Please enlighten us.
Their biggest hit was here's where the story ends. It was all over NBC for quite a while, and probably more on the strength of Harriet Wheeler's vocals for the Sundays. She's another one of those siren singers where just her vocals just stand out. Strangely, she isn't recording anything right now, and I don't think she was pretty young in this time, so I'd say she's probably in her 50s. So I'm not sure what she's doing now. Sundays put out 3 studio albums, one of which they did a cover of the Rolling Stones' Wild Horses, which is probably essential listening, in my opinion, because I think it's one of those versions of a cover song that outdoes the original. Would be that one. So Sunday's doing Wild Horses, not on this album. It's on the Blind album, I think. So yeah, Harriet Wheeler of the Sundays. And I could do another one while I'm here, talking about that late 80s, 90s, with My Bloody Valentine having Belinda Butcher singing over the absolute cacophony of sound and noise that most people would say this album is. This is my number 1 album of all the albums I own. I play this a lot. Belinda Butcher's vocals are just kind of float along this sea of noise, and it's absolutely mesmerizing. Neat thing about this band is that their bassist is also a woman, and she is I forgot her name already. Oh, Debbie Googe. So Debbie Googe is just kind of, I've seen them live. Debbie is just kind of rocking back and forth, kind of keeping the beat going, and it's just fascinating. I absolutely love this band. They are incredibly loud live, but yeah, interesting. So the Sundays and My Bloody Valentine.
Awesome.
Okay. Daryl.
All right. I'm going to go with a 3 for here, and we're representing Canada on this one. So all 3 of these artists I've mentioned before in the past. I'm pretty sure that I've shown all 3 of these albums at some point. But we cannot talk about Canadian music without starting at the beginning, and that's Anne Murray. I know that not everybody likes Anne Murray, but you got to respect what she did. Snowbird, Danny's Song, You Needed Me. It's all on this Greatest Hits album. And even into the 80s and the 90s, she was still making like soft rock, pop music, country music, master of all trades. I could have shown Carol Baker, but I chose not to. I did see Carol Baker in concert, though. I don't know if anybody knows Carol Baker, but at the high school I work at, she came up here for some concert. I don't know why. But
Carol Baker used to live 20 minutes away from here. Does not anymore, but when I was a kid.
Yeah.
Plus, no, Anne Murray has partied with Alice Cooper, so you got to give her props.
Anne Murray has partied with Alice Cooper. Nice. Well, speaking of partying, you can't go wrong without a little bit of Alanis Morissette.
Yes, sir.
You got the party music there, the anger, the aggression, the teenage angst. And I don't talk about my younger sisters too often because we're not in contact with them anymore. But this album here always reminds me of my sisters. They were more Alanis Morissette fans when she came out. I was still getting angry to Tool and Alice in Chains, but they were listening to this. But yeah, no, Jagged Little Pill is a fantastic album. I don't know how many singles are off of this thing. There's a ton. All I Really Want, You Ought to Know, Hand in My Pocket, You Learn, Head Over Feet, Ironic. I mean, that's crazy. 6, 7 singles, and they all charted, both in Canada and the U.S., I do believe.
One of the biggest female rock albums of all time.
Yep.
And then we'll finish it off with Rob. You already mentioned Amanda Marshall, but I don't typically show the Tuesday's Child one. I like the self-titled, but I mean, come on, you got to respect this album. I mean, everything. I listened to it again a few weeks ago. It's just solid, start to finish. You can't deny that, and I do agree with you. Canada's version of Sheryl Crow with.
I have trouble deciding which one I like more, the first one or the second one. Yeah. I mean, a ton of singles off both of them. I go first album at Dark Horse or second album in Love Lift Me, and I go, I can't decide. They're incredible. Yeah. Good one, man. Good one. Richie, how you doing, man? I would not want to party with Elena. She's a psycho.
She's God, remember?
Okay. What am I going to show next? I guess it's Joe's turn. What am I? See, I fucked up the order already, and we're only an hour in. God damn.
You almost made it, man. You almost made it.
Almost.
We're doomed.
I remember the first, we talked about this a few shows ago, I think. I remember the first time I heard You Ought to Know. I was in a nightclub. It wasn't crazy busy. It was about 9:00, and the DJ put it on, and you could just see every female in the bar go, "Oh, I know an asshole like that." Like it just caught fire with that generation of females when that song came out. You could just, like I said, you could just see it in the nightclub. So anyway, I had not this planned, but I am going to continue with the Canadian aspect as we continue along here. I'm going to go back a little further. Well, no, that's not true. Anne's probably the oldest, the elder stateswoman of Canadian music. But I'm going to go with Toronto. This is one of my favorite albums still. I really love this album. It's great. It was good at the time. It's good still. It still holds up. But Holly Woods and on vocals. And then I should remember her name, but Sharon Alton on guitar. So a little bit of heart action kind of. Rose Tattoo? Some of the guys from that turned into this. I think Holly Woods was in a couple of bands before this, but this is when they all kind of got together and really did a good job. I really like this album. It's a great album. And then a little more current, and I've mentioned her often, and Rob is very familiar with JJ Wild. I
Absolutely.
don't have the new one yet. I'm not sure why. I just have not gotten a chance to get it yet.
Me neither.
And it's good. I mean, JJ, I think you kind of have a pretty good idea of what you're going to get with her. Good album, great live, fantastic band. If you get a chance to see her, and she plays lots. So does Amanda, actually. Amanda's out there playing lots these days too. So if you get a chance, go and see these performers. But JJ's awesome. And then I would be remiss if I did not mention, this is another young lady that I met very briefly, but I did meet her and had a bit of a conversation with her. And it is Canada's metal queen, Lee Aaron. Good stuff. You know, I don't know if she got talked into the persona that she portrayed at the time, or if she just kind of ran with it. I've seen her since. She is fantastic. She still sounds great. She's out on the Canadian tour where all the Canadian bands get together. She still does a lot of performing, but this is a fantastic album back in the day. And then this is, and I don't show CDs very often, but I thought I'd bring this one out. This is an autographed version of Lee Aaron's jazz album. Really, really good. She did a couple of jazz albums, and they're still doing albums as well as Lee Aaron and her current band, but really good. So autographed from Lee. I was working in a bar. I was DJing in a bar. When the bands would play, I would do lights for the bands. I talked about that. I almost got to do lights for Kiss. I did lights a little bit for Lee Aaron because her guy was missing. And anyway, I had a chance to talk to her a little bit. And it was cool back in the day, back at Riley's Bar in Saskatoon, Saskatchewan. So there you go. There's a little more Canadiana for you. So
good choices, man. Good choices. Okay. I'll steer away from the Canadian stuff for a little bit because we don't want to bore everybody too much. But I would be remiss if we're talking about women in music or music and rock if I didn't show the female that I think is the greatest female singer there ever was, most incredible voice ever. And you can disagree with me, that's fine. Linda Ronstadt, that voice, holy shit. Just incredible. Huge fan of her stuff in the 70s. I like the stuff she did with the Stone Ponies, and then, the stuff into the early 80s. And then she went off and started doing sort of the, the Spanish kind of thing. And she did that Trios album with Dolly Parton and Emmylou Harris. I get off the Linda Ronstadt bandwagon just before that. Just not my thing. But those 70s albums, like this one here is just called Don't Cry Now. But Heart Like a Wheel and Simple Dreams, those albums are just incredible. And this woman has a voice that is just powerful and unmistakable. And it's unfortunate that she can't perform anymore because, she's got they thought it was Parkinson's or something, but it's something else that's affected her singing voice, and she's not in great health these days. But my favorite singer female ever. So,
and one of the most powerful but yet sad songs from a cartoon movie ever, Somewhere Out There from An American Tale.
Yes.
Yes. Fantastic. Amazing.
And it's I think it's funny about Linda, not funny, haha, but 90, I don't know, maybe 100% of the songs that she didn't write a damn thing. They're all, I don't know if many of them were written for her, but the vast majority of songs that she sang were covers and stuff that was written for her. But she had a lot of good friends, like, Jackson Browne wrote songs for her, and J.D. Souther wrote songs for her, and the Eagles were originally her original backing band. And, she had an incredible group, in her orbit that took that voice and made it into a voice that is now in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and deservedly so. But none of it's really original music, which I think is absolutely remarkable. So hats off to Linda. Okay. Richard, back around to you, my friend.
Got it. How about some art rock from the 70s all the way to the current time?
Hit us.
Laurie Anderson. I first heard that Oh Superman song, if you're familiar with that at all, and it was on, I don't think it was on MTV yet. It might have been on a Night Flight episode or something. And I was just mesmerized. Jamie, this is sort of what she would look like in the video. And instantly fell, and I was like, I have to get this. And of course, my friends back in the early 80s were, we were all in our late teens, early 20s. And what are you listening to that for? We were listening to Journey and Sammy Hagar and all that stuff. And what is this crap? I like it. So, she's done many, many albums, pretty much all of which I have. I've seen her live at least 6 times. And one of the most memorable was when I saw her in Boulder in probably the early 2000s when I moved back here. And halfway through the show, Lou Reed walks out and starts playing along with her. And I'm just going, holy. The look on Laurie Anderson's face was just elated to have her spouse with her doing what they do best, which is music. And it was almost like, watching love happening. It was amazing. So I have massive props for Laurie Anderson. I have books, all kinds of stuff. She did not a video game, but like a CD experience called The Puppet Motel, and I had it at one time. Unfortunately, it doesn't work on modern machinery, but oh well. Hey, Emma. And yeah, so I continue. She recently just put out a new album that I haven't got yet. Just sometimes her stuff is hard to find. But anyway, Laurie Anderson gets my vote.
Good pick, man. Good pick.
Yeah.
Hey, Emma, how you doing? Daryl.
Hello, Emma.
All right. So are we all up for some sex appeal now?
Ooh.
Aren't we all? Aren't we the sex appeal?
I was going to say, Rob's been here all along.
I know. I don't know.
Well, I'm going to do another 3 for. I know I've never done 2 of them in a row, but
You ever?
I'm going to do it. So you can't talk about sex appeal in women without talking about Madonna, although I don't know what the hell she's done to herself now. This is my favorite Madonna album, True Blue. Open Your Heart, Papa Don't Preach. Probably one of my favorite Madonna songs is Live to Tell. And that's all on here. You can't talk about the 80s and women in music without talking about Madonna. Absolute classic stuff.
Sorry to interrupt for 1 second. I'm not a Madonna fan. I've been looking for a used copy of Like a Prayer for fucking years, and I can't find it anywhere. Can't find it.
They're not readily available in the open, eh?
I could order a new one off Amazon or whatever, but I don't want to pay $60 or whatever. So they're out there. I just can't find one.
Yeah,
not a Madonna fan, but I want that record.
Thousands of them.
Yeah.
Now we'll go with some 80s cheese sex appeal here, and I don't know what it is. I always thought that this one was cute, and it's not Tiffany. Tiffany pisses me off because yesterday I found a warped copy of that album and I wanted it, and Anyway, but we'll go with Debbie Gibson instead. Out of the Blue. Look at that. She's on there with her little teddy bear, trying to bring all those teenage boys in. And everybody, I don't know how many songs she had, but this one has Out of the Blue, Foolish Beat, Only in My Dreams. So those are all, your teenage boy type sex appeal songs there. And then we'll finish it off with, if it's okay with you, Rob, I did not realize that this album is still in shrink. Have you ever had 2 Shrink records unshrinked on one episode?
No, but the ratings are going to go through the roof. Grip it and rip it, man.
Samantha Fox.
Okay, if you're going to rip it, I'll full screen you here. Here you go. Floor's yours.
I got it.
Okay. Oh,
right there.
That's fantastic.
Woo! So yeah, Samantha Fox, and then the seductive look on the backside. And this is the one that has naughty girls on it. So, that pretty much describes Samantha Fox in a nutshell. So, the sex appeal. I always thought she was hot, but kind of
finding the argument there.
kind of, yeah, probably not the girl that you want to bring home to your parents type person.
Page 3 girl, right? I think wasn't she a page 3 girl? Wasn't that
think
where it
so.
started?
She might have been, yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think so.
Yeah.
Okay, Joe, what you got?
All right, seeing as you started it, I'll keep going and I'll do it quick because this is going to be a 10-fer, but it'll be quick because it's all my 12-inch singles. So, how about Kylie Minogue? There you go, and Locomotion. There's more of that genre of sexy. No, I don't know about sexy as much as I don't know what Kylie was going for, and still doing music, still making music as well. I mean, I think Tiffany is doing some stuff as well, but I think Kylie's making some more music. Here's another one, Kim Wilde, and You Keep Me Hanging On. Her cover of that Dance 12-inch version. I had Samantha Fox in the picture as well. I actually have, I think, 4 or 5 of her 12-inch singles. I'm not sure why. This happens to be Touch Me. I Want Your Body. So there you go. There's that. One of my favorites, Tina. I don't know if anybody else is going to get to Tina, but so good. So very, very good. I just had her in the 12-inch version. Whitney, say what you want. The kid had a fantastic, unbelievably great voice. And then she met Bobby Brown, and it all went to hell from there. 2 more. Jane Child. This is a cool song. Not necessarily 12-inch single music per se, but they turned it into one. And Don't Want to Fall in Love. Really good song. Great song. Kind of that late 80s, early 90s. 2 more to go. Katrina and the Waves. Katrina not being on the cover of this one, but Walking on Sunshine. Another song I might have in the category I've heard too many times in my life, but always fun and always worked. If you're DJing in a bar, always worked really well. And then the girls from Bananarama as well. So A Little Venus, the 12-inch single. This one does not have, I thought this one had a poster, but anyway, there you go. So there's I don't know how many but all the 12-inch singles, and those got played over numerous times. They always worked very well when you were a DJ in the bar in the late 80s, early 90s. They worked very well. So,
All right. Rob's saying Kim Wilde just released a new record. So
I see that. Yeah, that's awesome. That's great.
Cool. Okay. I'm doing a 3-fer because these are all related. It'll make sense in a minute. It'll make sense real soon, actually.
Perfect.
Okay. And it's funny you should say perfect because I'm going to show the legendary Christine Perfect album, which this was Christine McVie. Her maiden name was Christine Perfect. And she was in a British blues band called Chicken Shack, which I love. I have some Chicken Shack records over there. And she met one John McVie, and they got married. And obviously, everyone knows Christine would go on to be an integral part of, we'll say, the most popular lineup of Fleetwood Mac. Oh, she was part of the early, the transitional lineup after Peter Green, before the Rumors lineup, and then all the way through. So, tangentially related to that, obviously, if we're going to talk about Christine McVie, we should talk about Stevie Nicks as well, because Fleetwood Mac. Stevie, another one of those, like Linda Ronstadt, one of the most memorable, distinct, incredible voices ever. I have seen her live twice, and to hear that voice in person is just it's more incredible than you can say it is. So then, that was Stevie's solo album. That's actually the Belladonna live album from '81. During one of her, before I guess she left Fleetwood Mac. And then I'll just show this, obviously, with Christine and Stevie together in Fleetwood Mac. And this would be the last time that they would be together on a Fleetwood Mac recording, because Christine would actually leave Fleetwood Mac for the last album. But there you go. 2 incredible women with 2 great careers, and then 1 incredible career together in a band. So there you go. Richard, you're back again, man.
A quick sidebar. How many of us have seen any of these women in rock in concert? I've seen Heart, I've seen Madonna, I've seen Tina Turner, And I have seen X with Exene, one Exene Cervenka. Amazing. I always love the interplay of John Doe and Exene's voices, the way they play off each other and the harmonies, and it just works so well. It's so characteristic. You hear an X song, you're like, I know who that is. It's X. It sounds it's very distinctive sound. So I've seen X full band, and then I've seen X with John Doe just doing a little twofer solo thing, and I think that might have been the night that I saw Blondie. So it was like those two and Garbage and Blondie, something like that. They were at the same venue.
That's a hell of a show. That's pretty
It was.
good. Yeah.
It was like I've seen Cher too. I've seen Cher 3 times at least tour with Cyndi Lauper, whose album I completely forgot to pull up. Yeah, I know. Hopefully somebody else has it. But anyway, yeah. So I've seen. I mean, I call them like all of the diva concerts I've seen. I've seen Bjork. I've seen so many. It's almost frightening. I mean,
there's a band, the way that you explained X, there's a band out there, and I didn't bring it up, but I really want to mention it quick. A Canadian band called July Talk, and I think,
yes,
I don't know if you're familiar. So they play off each other very well as well, and from what I understand, put on a fantastic live show as well. So that's kind of a juxtaposition, kind of voices as well, and so for those that are looking for something similar, I would recommend July Talk, and I think they've got a new album coming out. I really would like to see them. I have not had a chance to, but I think that they're supposed to put on a great show, and I like both of their voices, and I think that they both bring something to the table. So, yeah.
Rob's saying he'd like to see Sheryl Crow. You and me both, my friend. She's actually coming to Toronto in a few months, and I went to get tickets, and then I saw how expensive they were, and I went, and then I didn't, and now I kick myself. But it is what it is. Money doesn't grow on trees.
And Concert Buddy's point, you brought it up too, was Lizzie Hale. Lizzie has a fantastic voice, very good, great at what she does, the style that she does. But I think her voice would hold up if she was singing other things as well. But very good.
Yep, agreed. Okay, Daryl.
All right. So my last 3 picks, I did that whole sex appeal thing. This next one's going to be kind of like I would almost call it like that innocent 1980s thing. And I don't know if it was last week or the week before. John from Music Talk mentioned that he grew up in like I don't know if he grew up, but lots of Christian music in Florida back when he was younger and stuff like that. And but not really into it. But there's one musician that he mentioned that he does like, right? And that's Amy Grant. I do have the Heart in Motion album. She's kind of like the innocent version of those girls that I mentioned, right? She's not Samantha Fox, she's not Madonna, but yet with this one album, she went completely mainstream, right? I think before that she did like a duet with Peter Cetera, I think it was. But other than that, she was almost unknown in the non-Christian world. But this album had like, I don't know, tons of hits. Every Heartbeat, Baby Baby, Good for Me. That's What Love Was For. They're all her main singles. And then I think she did one more album after that with some other singles. And then she kind of just floated off. And who's she married? Vince Gill?
Gill. Yep.
Right.
Vince
So,
Gill, yeah.
I mean, I kind of went sex appeal with the one group, and then the more innocent of the female 80s singers towards the end there with Amy Grant. So I'm like I said, I'm not into Christian music either, but I got to pay my respects to Amy Grant. I mean, she's done it all in that genre plus more. So,
yep. Okay, Joe.
All right. I'm just going to do a one for just, because.
Switch it up a bit.
Yeah, switch it up a little bit. I have a lot of albums. We've discussed that. I got a lot of albums. I've seen a lot of albums. I've bought a lot of collections. I like to find stuff in the wild. There are two albums that I am actively looking for when I go to other record shops and things like that, or if I am buying a collection. And I have the third album by Transvision Vamp, but I do not have Pop Art and I don't have Velveteen. Those are two albums that I would like to find. And I think there's probably some reissues, but those are two that are on my list of things I'd like to find in the wild. Good stuff. I don't know, kind of one hit wonder. They were probably more popular, and I think Rob could probably speak to it more so than maybe North America. But Wendy James, fantastic. And, got a lot of the boys excited from the time as well. I watched a great interview with her the other day. It's a YouTube, and I can't remember the gentleman's name, but she had this really bright pink lipstick in the video for I Want Your Love. And she talks about how she should have just marketed that. Like if it was these days and she would have been an influencer, she would have had the Wendy James pink lipstick. But I really like this band, power poppy, punky, good stuff. And again, if anybody sees Pop Art and or Velveteen out there in the wild, I guess that would still constitute me finding them in the wild, but I'd like to find them. And yes, Rob, I agree with that. I'm not sure necessarily still is, but still putting out music. In fact, was kind of trying to crowdsource a little bit for her latest album. The video I watched was posted 5 months ago, so it actually might be coming out this summer. But yeah, Wendy James, and of course the rest of Transvision Vamp. Interesting, good, fun stuff. Again, kind of one hit wonder, but some decent stuff. And if you see those albums, let me know. And hi, Curtis.
Hey, Curtis, how you doing, man? Okay.
Blue.
Ooh, look at that.
Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna go super mainstream with this, and I might show more than one, but we're gonna start with something super mainstream, because, well, this is one of the biggest selling albums of all time, and some Canadian content. Shania Twain, Come On Over. I mean, this was her monster album. When we talk about monster album, 40 million copies sold worldwide, 20 times platinum. It is the best-selling country album by a female. So, like her or not like her, I mean, can you talk about women in music without maybe mentioning this? I don't think you can. And I think I would even argue this came out in 97. So I think she was one of the first people to bridge the gap between country and pop and, made it a little more mainstream and maybe started the evolution of what mainstream country music is today. I'm not an expert on country. I'm not a big country fan. I love this album because, I mean, I think there's 16 songs here. There are like 10 singles. And I remember them all over the radio that summer of 97. It's one of those kind of soundtrack of your life kind of songs. I was dating a girl that played this all the time. So, there's some, sentimental association, but great record. Again, I'm not a big country fan, but this is great. What makes this great, I'm going to argue, is not Shania Twain. What makes this great is Mutt Lange, her husband. And producer. He produced the album before this, Woman and Me, and the album after this, Up, and then he cheated on her and blew up their marriage and whatever. Unfortunately, anything she's put out since then in the last few years, I think she's kind of made she's a caricature of herself. She's still trying to be 20 years old, and she's absolutely not. And the music is not as nearly as good as it was. Can she sing? Yes. But the music was good because a lot of it was Mutt Lange. So great record. I love this album. It's fantastic. I'm going to show two other country albums just because I still have a stack here. And as we always say, if you pull it, you got to show it. So I think I really own about 5 country albums on my whole collection, but this is one that blew me away, and I've shown it before. All Women, a super group, I'm told, the Highwomen, Natalie Hemby, Brandi Carlile. Sorry, that's Natalie Hemby. Randy Carlisle, Maren Morris, and Amanda Shires all have their own careers. And this was Amanda Shires' idea to put this group together. And it's kind of a play off the Highwaymen from back in the day, Cash and those guys. But it's the female version of this. And I think this is a really, really enjoyable record. And I like it a lot. And of that group, I happen to have one of their solo records, Natalie Hemby. She was kind of, as I understand it, kind of an unknown before the Highwaymen because she was principally just a songwriter. But because of this, she became a little more well-known, and this is her first solo album. It's a little less country than what that is, but there you go. 4 women in a country supergroup. Can't go wrong with that. So. We caught up on a few comments here. Good evening, Curtis. Welcome. Thanks for joining us, man.
Good evening.
Rob saying the Darling Buds and the Primitives were similar to Transition Vamp. Okay.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
I don't know either of those, but that's okay. Yeah, you're right. Garth Brooks bridged the gap between pop and country. Yeah, yes, agree. I think Shania had a huge part in it too. Heard far too many drunk butcherings of Shania at karaoke. Yeah, that's absolutely true. That's I'll do it at that. She wasn't the same post-divorce. Mutt had the Midas touch. Absolutely.
She did write a lot, if not most of her songs, though, too, right? I mean,
well,
I
don't know that that's necessarily true because she had an album before Woman in Me, before she met Mutt, and it's shit. And then when they say that she co-wrote these, I think maybe she came up with the idea or she contributed some lyrics. But when she met Mutt, the songwriting took a massive step forward. So they co-wrote, but I'm willing to bet he did the majority of the heavy lifting, I think. And anything that's been put out since then, like I have her most recent album.
Yeah, me too.
And it sucks. Like,
yeah, I don't know if it sucks. I don't mind it. Yeah,
it
well, yeah, we disagree. I don't hate it. So
that's fine.
Yeah.
So
I know I'm wrong.
I don't think we can. I mean, it's pretty undisputed that Mutt does have the Midas touch. I mean, look who else he put out amazing albums with, right? Def Leppard, your good friend Bryan Adams. I mean, he's got the knack for whatever it is to make something successful. So, okay, Richard,
got it. How about we go back to the 70s? This band had a run into the 80s, probably known as one of the most, strongest songwriting team with female vocalists in music history. ABBA.
Yes, sir.
This might be my favorite ABBA album. I like Dancing Queen and all that good stuff, but they have, for me, they have albums that were kind of inconsistent, and then they had their later albums that were almost too dark to be enjoyable. Yeah, Voulez-Vous was a great album. Got that one too.
I like the one you're showing too, though. Fantastic.
I like this one too. The cover is different in the England or Europe even. I think it's blue instead of the white background.
Oh,
it's like got a little bit of glare going on here today. I don't know why. But talk about a vocal pair of women whose, again, the voices just play off of each other so well that it works. So you have the strong songwriting team of Benny and Bjorn, and then Agnetha and Annifrid's vocals carry off the songs perfectly. It was almost like this was a group that was made to be together. As husband and wives, maybe not, but the solo albums that the ladies put out, some of them were okay. It just seemed like it just wasn't the same. I don't know if it had to do with different songwriting or production or what, but they didn't work as well. But ABBA. What can you say about ABBA? Do you know anyone who doesn't like at least one ABBA song? Or they go, ew, ABBA sucks. I've never heard anyone say ABBA sucks.
I think there's a lot that wouldn't admit that they like ABBA. There's that, right? Where they're closeted ABBA fans. But I don't think anybody dislikes. There's just
nothing to dislike about it. It's like not like in the Bee Gees, right? You maybe don't admit it a lot, but so.
To your point about their solo albums, I mean, I think it's kind of I think it's kind of akin to thinking about the Beatles, right? They were all of the components that, you know, the sum was greater than the individual parts, right? And while, you know, John and Paul and George were all great, nothing that they produced solo was as great as what they produced together, because they still needed the influence of the other people. And I think it's the same with ABBA. Bjorn and Benny, two of the best songwriters ever. But without those powerful females singing those songs, do we care about those songs? We probably don't. And when those voices went out, those two women made their own albums. They can sing fantastic, but the songs that they sang weren't as great as the songs that Bjorn and Benny wrote.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What have you listened to Voyage, the reunion album?
I have not. Actually, I don't think I've heard a single song off of that. I'm aware of it, but I never even streamed it, which is surprising me. But
I asked that because I listened to it this week again. When it came out, I was crazy excited about it because I love ABBA. Unabashedly, I love ABBA. And I think maybe I set the expectations a little too high, and I listened to it and I was disappointed. And then I didn't listen to it for like 2 years. And I thought, I got to give this a listen again. And I did. It's really good.
okay.
Yeah.
It doesn't have one of those catchy, like standout singles. Like there's not a Fernando or a Voulez-Vous or a Super Trooper. Like there's not one of those songs you go, yeah, that's a friggin' hit. But you listen to it, you go, every one of these songs is outstanding, and they sound as good today as they did in 1980.
Cool.
So, yeah, I should have listened to it more instead of letting it sit there for a year or two to collect dust, because it doesn't have that big standout singer, a big single, but it's a good album. It's a good album. So
Yeah, I was exactly like you. I think maybe put it up there like, oh, this is going to be really good, and then was very disappointed. But I haven't listened to it, so I will give it another shot. But I feel exactly the same way, where it was like, oh man, this is going to be great. Ah, shit, it's not. But
right.
Rob
Exactly.
Walker, I agree.
There you go. So you
Daryl.
found
Okay, we got two people. That's it.
Good night, Daryl. You're done.
well, with tens of thousands watching, if only 2 people don't like ABBA, we're good.
We're doing all right. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
All right. Richard, your turn again, sir.
No, I just went.
Oh, you just
Just
see.
like ABBA.
I can't fucking Jesus.
I don't think it counts as screwing it up if you say the same person's name. If you skip someone, that's different. But if you give a guy another shot, that we won't count that.
Well, you know why I screwed it up, right? Because I was just talking, and I just subconsciously in my brain, I'm like, well, I just heard my stupid voice, so it must have been my turn. So that means it's Richard's turn.
It's got to be Richard. Yeah, there you go.
I shouldn't be the administrator of this set operation anymore. This is the quality here is going
perfectly fine.
downhill faster than a turd in a whatever. All right,
Perfectly fine.
there you go, Daryl.
All right, Richard, I
Tell
think
me
you might enjoy this album. I believe you like this band, if memory hits me correctly.
Okay.
So this is not a lead singer of a band. She's kind of there, and she feeds off one of the other members. So one of the other members has definitely a deeper tonal voice, but I think the female singer in this band makes the band. It's just my personal opinion. They are a Canadian band out of Winnipeg. Very divisive, though. Not every Canadian likes these guys. And in fact, until after my dad passed away, I've mentioned this before, I never understood these guys. My dad always used to play them. That's Crash Test Dummies.
Oh yeah, I like them.
Fantastic.
And Ellen Reed, who there she is on the back. She feeds right off of Brad Roberts on these albums. And I mean, like I said, it took me so long to understand this band. And I think I think it's only on the Dumb and Dumber soundtrack, but the Ballad of Peter Pumpkinhead, I mean, she makes that song.
Yes.
Yep.
So I think from a Canadian perspective, when we talk about the Crash Test Dummies, a lot of people forget that she's even in this band, but yet she does make a lot of songs. And this one has, Winter Song, Superman Song, and The Ghosts That Haunt Me. Fantastic Canadian band out of Winnipeg. I think they're misunderstood, and I don't think they've put out a decent album in a little while. I kind of stopped listening to them after that song, the Put a Lid on Things. Was that what it was called? Anyway, I found it an annoying song, but their early stuff, Ghosts That Haunt Me, and I have the
God
other one.
Shuffled
I
His
don't know
Feet.
what it's called now.
If God shuffled his feet.
God Shuffled His Feet. Yeah. Really good stuff. And so Ellen Reed is who I'm talking about there. And I mean, she feeds right off of that. Brad is the deep vocal, and she's kind of the high poppy.
You need that as the counterpoint to his voice because it's so distinctive.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
Yep. Couldn't argue with that one. I have that album too. That's a really good record. I like it.
It's
Okay.
interesting. I didn't know they were out of Winnipeg. I just lived just south of Winnipeg. So
They're now based out of New York City because that's where Brad Roberts lives. So, okay. I'm not going to screw this up. Joe, it's your turn.
All right. You brought up a little country, and if Shania is arguably the biggest country, I would argue that Dolly trumps her. I think.
Sure. Absolutely.
But different time frame.
Right.
If we were to pick the queen of country music, I think Dolly would.
Oh,
would fall into
undisputed.
that
I was
category.
just making the point that this is the most successful
I
female
agree.
country
Yeah.
album.
Definitely, and it definitely upped the genre, I think, for country music at its time frame. Yes, I wasn't trying to be derogatory. I was just trying to make sure that everybody knows how much I love Dolly Parton. So, and all the hair, all the fake hair, all the rest of it, all of that stuff. But what I found really interesting about her when I watched the documentary is the number of songs that she has written. It's like 3,000 or something like that. And then the other mind-blowing statement, somewhat, is that she wrote both Jolene and I Will Always Love You on the same day.
Same day.
Like, that's a good day. That's a good songwriting day. So, fantastic. So there's that one. And then in behind, you can kind of see, if I do this, you can see that there's Dolly back there as well. Her rock album, because she got inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. So she figured she better make a rock album. It's good. It's rock and roll, but it's Dolly singing rock and roll. So if you're looking for something completely different, it's not. It's still Dolly Parton singing it, but it's really fantastic stuff. And she's so philanthropic, which is always a great thing as well. She gives back so much. And yeah, just fantastic. And I think not necessarily overlooked, but maybe one of those that is not put up in the echelon of where she should be, because she'll certainly be one of those that when she passes, there'll be a lot of people that will go, oh my goodness, I should have been listening to that a lot more than I was. I think she'll fall into that category. So there you go.
Record out of saying Dolly Parton records are impossible to find in good shape. They always have huge warmth. Ducks throwing.
A little bit. You know, the other thing cool too is she was married for 60 years, I believe. Her husband just
He
passed.
just
and they were
died, yeah.
60 years. So, and there's a great picture of her. It was out there recently for his, I don't know, his 80th birthday. Maybe not quite that. It was a while ago. She gave him her copy of her on Playboy in a nice frame. It's like, here's your birthday present, honey. So, and you hardly ever heard one about the guy. He was always there for her. It was always great. So that's pretty cool to see as well. People, in her spotlight and all the things that she did, that they were able to make that work. That's pretty cool. That's pretty awesome. So, and they're redoing 9 to 5. I can't remember who all the artists are that are gonna play the parts, but it should be good because it was a fun movie. I thought she was pretty good. She was always a decent actress. She wasn't great, but she was a decent actress.
Okay. Are we gonna do a speed round after this and wrap it up? Is that what we want to do, fellas? Because we're getting
We can do a speeder after this. Sure.
okay.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do a forfer before I do the speed round. How about that?
Of course.
I can do that because I have the power.
That's right.
I'm power drunk. Okay, this is all Canadian too, so feel free to fall asleep, everybody. One of my favorite Canadian artists that nobody knows about. Her name is Davnit Doyle. I know it looks like it should be pronounced Damnate, but it's Davnit. She is from, I think, out east. I think she lives in Toronto now. Wickedly talented singer-songwriter. Has been making albums since the 90s. She had a big hit in the 90s. There was a video all over Much Music called Tattooed. It was off her album Hyper Dramatic. But this is my favorite of her album. It's called Liquor Store Flowers, which came out in 2019. And it's just a great, straight up sort of pop rock, I guess you could say. It's in the same vein as like Alana Miles kind of stuff, I guess would probably be the fairest way to say it. Incredible singer, great songwriter. I met her back when I was in university. She played at one of the pubs at my university. I've been a big fan ever since. So that's Davnit Doyle. And she also fronts a band called The Heartbroken. That's her right there. And all of the gentlemen in this band also have other careers outside of this. And The Heartbroken don't get together often. They've put out 2 albums in a little over 10 years, and both of them are incredible. This was the last one called Storm Clouds from 2016. And this is, again, sort of that pop rock kind of thing, but it's just solid, good, straight up music. Curtis, if you're watching, I think you're still in the comments there. You might recognize this. This is Elise Aaron. Curtis gave me this. This is an absolutely phenomenal album that I had not heard of until Curtis talked about it in a video. And I said, wow, that sounds like it's right up my alley. And so he sent it to me. Elise Aaron is from the East Coast, Nova Scotia, I believe. Again, singer-songwriter, rock music, great stuff. I sort of get a little bit of some sort of like Stevie Nicks vibes in there too. It's this album is absolutely phenomenal. Thank you again, Curtis. I listen to this a lot. And I'm going to wrap it up with one more Canadian singer-songwriter who I love, Kathleen Edwards. She's been around for quite a while. This originally came out in the early aughts. I want to say like 2003, 2004, something like that. I think this was her debut, Failure. She reminds me of like a female sort of like Neil Young or Gordon Lightfoot in that she's a storyteller in her songs and really, really good. She's still making music today. She used to be married to Colin Cripps from Blue Rodeo, but they are now divorced. But he's on a lot of her records. But yeah, I think this is her best record, Failure. There you go. A forfer that no one other than me cares about. So.
No, that's not true. That's not true
That's
at
not
all.
true. Not true at all.
It's not purposely obscure, but I think it's all great stuff. And if somebody, what is this? What does Curtis say? A new Elise Aaron album coming out? I got to keep an eye out for that because I absolutely love this one. Cool. Okay, we're narrowing in on the 2-hour mark, so let's do a speed round and then we'll wrap this thing up.
Got it. All right. I got a handful. Lead singer for Bow Wow Wow. She was underage when they started this, so
That cover, yeah.
slightly underclad. Annabella Lewin. She was, I think 13 when Bow Wow Wow fired up, and they did a few albums. I've always loved her voice. She was fantastic. Have we mentioned Pat Benatar tonight?
We have not.
No.
We have not. Pat Benatar, hello. Yeah,
Exactly.
You go. Love. This is probably my favorite album. I know the album before this was kind of the one that put her on the map. But this is not one with Hit Me With Your Best Shot. Yeah, it is. Okay, so Hit Me With Your Best Shots on this one. That was the one that really blew her up. Pat Benatar. Name the only, or I should say the first all-female heavy metal band that was signed to a major label.
Nope. Yep. Good.
Fanny.
JWG brought them up, and I don't have any because they're on my list of stuff to find as well.
Okay, fantastic. I picked this up late last year, and this is, from what I've heard, is that their studio albums are kind of but this is all live, and it kicks butt. It is so worth hunting down. And I don't think it cost me all that much, but I found it.
Good documentary on them out there too.
Oh, is there? Ooh, look it
Yes,
up.
there is. Yeah.
And if you're familiar with the kind of 80s, not post-punk, what do I call them? They're sort of, I don't know, they're late 80s MTV 120 minutes type stuff. Throwing Muses with Tanya Donnelly and Kristen Hirsch. Love their vocals because they were very seesaw, off kilter, with not out of tune guitars, but kind of detuned stuff. And that's all I got.
All right. Fantastic.
stuff.
Well done, Richard. Well done.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you now.
All right, so I've got 4, of which 2 of them are kind of going to go together. So I've never shown this on my channel, and I don't know if I've ever really seen this singer too often, but I'm going to go with a little Latin flair. Party music, I guess, with Gloria Estefan and the Miami Sound Machine. This is the one with, what's on this one? Rhythm Is Gonna Get You. Although I like Conga. That's probably my favorite song by them. But yeah, I mean, she kind of goes under the radar. Gloria Estefan. Previous comment mentioned the Go-Go's. Just so happens to be here, Beauty and the Beat. This album cover just kills me every time I see it. You know, kind of like women just going to the spa or whatever it is. My brother got me this. I hardly ever listen to this. Probably been 10 years since I've listened to this, but Our Lips Are Sealed is a pretty cool song. So you can't go wrong there.
You should put it on.
What's that?
You should give it a listen. It's a good album. Yeah, it's a good album for sure.
And then my last 2 go together. I don't know what it is. I think what it is I watched this movie one too many times and shed too many tears. Me and my brother, I don't know why. But the lead singer, who does most of the songs on it, is Bette Midler, and the movie is Beaches, the Beaches soundtrack with Barbara Hershey in it. But I mean, all the songs, I could listen to this all day long. I don't know. There's something nostalgic about that. And of course, she does Under the Boardwalk, which when we talk about those late 50s, early 60s songs, I mean, that's just classic. And one of her solo albums, I have 3 or 4 of them, but this is the one that has From a Distance on it.
Oh, love that song.
It's a great song. So I'll end it with Bette Midler. Bette Midler and Gloria Estefan. I don't think they get as much recognition as they deserve. So I'll finish it off with them. There we go.
All right.
Well done. I saw Bette Midler twice. Loved it. Amazing concert.
And The Rose from the movie is a pretty fantastic song. Very good song. And kind of Janis Joplin-y, right? I think a little bit was what they were kind of shooting for there without making an actual biopic. So, yep. Good stuff, D. Good stuff.
All right, Joe, bring us home.
Are you, because it's right there and I can grab it, do you have someone wearing red boots coming up?
I do not.
Okay, then I'm going to get it.
I figured you were going to.
Well, I thought you were, so I'll do it because it's right there. Lindy Ortega. And Rob has mentioned it numerous times. I was lucky enough to find it most recently. This is a fantastic album. I probably should have shown it along with Dolly Parton. And not to say that she falls into that category, but I listened to this again today for the, umpteenth time. And there was really one song where it is very reminiscent of that. And I'm not sure if that's what she was shooting for or not, but fantastic artist. Hopefully some new stuff. Hasn't done much for a while. I don't know if there's anything specific.
I can tell you, I can shed some light on that. She went through a very messy divorce, so that's why she hasn't done anything. She did just release a new album 2 months ago. It's only available digitally. It's a little darker than her country stuff, but
is it because she went through a divorce? Is it?
Oh, I think absolutely it is.
Yeah.
And apparently it's coming out on vinyl at some point in the next few months, but you can stream it or whatever. So I can't remember what it's called, but there is a new album out there.
Good stuff. Awesome. All right. If you need a little sexy music, you cannot go wrong with Sade. I thought this would come up earlier than it did, and I just kept going to something else. But fantastic voice, phenomenal, just really, really good. One of those artists maybe I have to be in the mood for. And when I say in the mood, not that I have to be in the mood to listen to it because it's not good. It's always good. It's just more sit down and enjoy it, and or sexy time. So it's, one of those. So another artist, again, that I kind of maybe sometimes have to be in the mood for, and this is a very, very popular artist. If a Lana Del Rey album comes in the shop, it's like someone knows and they just come and they pick it up right away. They don't happen often, but I don't have, Richard, maybe do you have, There's a Tunnel Under, I don't have that. But I heard really, really good things about it. I have this and a couple other ones, early stuff, but I don't have the most recent, which I heard great things about. So thought maybe you might have that. But Lana Del Rey, good stuff. And two more. I bring up Melissa quite a bit. I show this one because it's the most recent. I have a couple other Melissa Etheridge albums, but fantastic songwriter. Women's advocate for sure. Part of why we're doing this show. We've had some very, very strong-willed women on here. We've had some pop stars that are out there just, being pop stars. But I wouldn't put Melissa in that category by any means. But man, she can still sing, and holy shit, she can play guitar. If she was up there with some of the other guitar players of renown or whatever, I think she'd hold her own based on when I saw her last year. And lastly, JWG brought it up, and I meant to bring it up as part of when I showed the Runaways, because the Runaways were kind of the impetus, the first girl group, and I, excluding the Motown stuff, all of the performers in the band are playing their instruments, et cetera, Girls' School kind of followed in that suit. Never had a lot of success. Definitely, I'm not sure. Obviously, a few people, Richard shaking his head, of them. Others have mentioned it as well. But Girls' School, great album, and cool album art as well. So there you go. And there are, we're getting some mentions of other artists in there. Obviously, there are so many other fantastic ones. That just happens to be the first 20 I came up with. Like, we didn't talk about Ella Fitzgerald, which comes up in there. So many other ones. And we still have not brought up the one that I will mention if Rob doesn't bring her up, because there's no reason we should not have. Sass Jordan, there you go as well. Sass is awesome. So, okay, I'm done, unless I want to talk about who you maybe don't bring up.
Okay. I got 4, I think, here. An artist I love and hate in equal measure. Grace Potter. Wickedly talented singer-songwriter from Vermont. And to me, there's very strong parallels to like Grace Slick, that kind of a voice. She was in a band called Grace Potter and the Nocturnals, which I love, and they were phenomenal. And then she blew up that band for various reasons. I have my own ideas about that. I'm not get into that tonight. And she went solo, and her stuff solo, which this is her second solo album called Daylight. It was actually nominated for a Grammy. I don't know why, because it's not very good. I don't, and she's I see her on social media and that she's acting like an idiot. She's taking too many drugs and wrecked her voice and whatever. Her stuff with the Nocturnals was amazing. Her solo stuff sucks, I think. But I show it anyway, and I own it anyway, because I don't know. Lisa Loeb, what a great singer-songwriter. I have Tales on vinyl, which is incredibly hard to find, but I show this because she signed it to me, which was quite awesome of her to do. This is her most recent album, A Simple Trick to Happiness, which sounds exactly like what you think it would sound like, and it's awesome. I don't know if this is who Joe's going to wants me to talk about or not. I don't know.
Nope.
No? Okay.
Not yet. Nope. But good choice.
We've mentioned her in passing, but Sheryl Crow, recent inductee into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Mm-hmm. Fantastic. I love Sheryl Crow. I love a lot of her albums. John's still watching. I know that he's a big fan. This is really good. This is her live from the Ryman. She has another live album, live from the Capitol Theater. It's not very good. This is outstanding. This is really, really good. And she's got some guests on here. Stevie Nicks is on here. Waddy Wachtel's on here. Jason Isbell's on here. Lou Harris is on here. Randy Carlisle's on here. This is just an outstanding live record. And I'll close it out, bringing it back home with another all-girl group and my fantasy wife, Susanna Hoffs, and the Bengals. There you go.
Awesome.
That's it. That's all. That's it. That's all. Yeah.
So quickly, Cheryl was not who I was talking about, but great choice. Who I was talking about, and actually it was close enough that I could grab it, is Carole King.
Carole King. Oh, shit.
Come on, guys. What are we doing, right? I just, it dawned on me early, but prolific songwriter, and this album is killer. It's just, you should have this album. And I know that sounds dumb, and I give other guys grief for saying, these are the albums you have to have. But if I'm going to be that guy, I'm going to say you should have this album. It's just well done. Really, really good. And that's who I had written down was Carole King that we didn't bring up when we should have. But again, there are many, many that we missed that we could have, should have.
So many.
Right? Yeah. Yeah,
Yep.
definitely.
Okay, let's do what we always do at the end of one of these things. Go around the horn, and if there's anything you want to promote about your channel, anything, a video you've got up you want people to know about, or something you're working on that you want folks to know about. Richard, what's brewing at the Tap House?
Not much brewing at the Tap House. It seems like lately I've been,
Tap House then.
I know, but I got beer in the fridge.
Well, there you go. That's good enough.
I've been doing a lot more response videos to threads and challenges and whatnot. That Rob Walker A to Z challenge. Holy, that was hard to do. It took days to put together. But anyway, I'm still trying to decide on, I want to do a Gary Newman deep dive. I want to do a Bob Mould deep dive, Husker Du Sugar type thing. It's really, trying to come up with something that, it's not going to be a half-hour video because nobody wants to sit through that, and maybe break it apart or something. But that's kind of what's, I have ideas that are floating around that just haven't come to fruition yet. So that's kind of where I am right now.
Awesome. Good.
Very good. Joe, what's you got your game show coming up? What else is cooking?
Yeah, well, I've got the latest edition on the store page, which I know some people that watch this follow. Curtis, I know Curtis mentioned had a comment on there today. So the latest thing is 12 things that should not be in the store because I think that they're good albums. That's the play on that. But it's all the Canadian version of, just happened to be the first 12. And again, there is so much great Canadian music, but it's that. And then the most recent one that I did, and a few have jumped on board and done it as a thread as well, is 7 artists that changed my mind, artists that I wasn't a big fan of or didn't get at first, but do. And then, starting next week, I'm not going to do it tonight. I was, but I'm going to save it. I'm going to do it next week. And I don't know if it's going to be a regular thing or not, but I was screwing around with some software, and it's game show software. So I'm going to run the Racer Records game show music trivia. I need 3 contestants. So if you want to be a contestant, send me an email. Go to my page, send me an email. We'll do that next Wednesday night. Lots of people will be able to watch on here. And then I've got 3 contestants. No prizes as of yet, but you know what? If I keep doing it and something comes up, maybe we'll come up with some prizes along the way. So that's the current Racer Records things going on.
All right, Daryl.
Not too much going on my channel. I'm still trying to finish my board game and vinyl combined thing that I've been talking about. So I want to try to do that. I've got some ideas for that. And definitely since I went back into that record station yesterday, I'd like to get a couple of videos on what I found while I was there. I mean, is it anything like classic or anything like that? Probably not. Although I did find a copy of Canned Wheat, and guess who?
That's good.
Can't go wrong there. That'll be making an appearance.
It's funny you should mention that because I just picked that up at the record show on the weekend.
It's a gooder.
Yeah, I got I know I said that I don't like going down the 45 rabbit hole, but I did find some picture sleeve 45s that were some Bon Jovi, some Poison that were in there. So anyway, I want to see if I can get a couple videos on what I found, and who knows? I'm trying to come up with other ideas. I'm kind of running one of those blanks in my mind.
Yeah, you
Kind
didn't
of like
mention
you, Richard, where I'm looking at different threads and going, "Hey, that's kind of a cool thread. Maybe I'll try it out. We'll see."
you did your the one about your trip though. You didn't mention that. That's a good one. I like that one.
Oh
that's
yeah.
cool.
I did actually. Speaking of that, Morton Astad said that he bought one of those albums. It caught his eye and he listened to it and he purchased one. So I'm interested to see what he bought. But yeah, no. Those Spanish records are pretty cool. I like the one of the Surf and Bee shows though. I mean, if you haven't watched the video, the packaging on that one with the booklet and everything inside, it's pretty
cool.
Pretty neat.
Yeah. No, I typed in Los Bravos because I knew Black is Black into Spotify or something, and a bunch of their other stuff came up, all in Spanish. And yeah, it's good stuff. So that must have been a fantastic trip. I mean, with the kids and
it was a great trip. And speaking of which, I mean, I'm not running a trip next year, but it sounds like the kids at my school, they had a meeting today. Sounds like they might be going to Iceland next year.
Ooh.
So two totally different locations.
Hold on a minute. They're going to go from where you live to Iceland. They might as well just walk down the street. It's the same
lateral move more than anything.
It sounds like the juniors, like the grade 9s and 10s, want to go to like France or something like that, but all the seniors that have done multiple trips, they've done Italy and Greece and Spain now. They want something just totally different and off the beaten path, so they're all voting for Iceland. I don't know.
Wow. Crazy.
Reykjavik is the capital of Iceland. It is in the North Atlantic.
Yes, sir. Okay. Me, because everyone wants to hear about me. No, they don't. My video last week, if you haven't seen it, watch it. I got a surprise VLC box from Joe, which was awesome. Joe conspired with my wife to get something here without my knowledge. So I was home one morning and ding dong, my doorbell rings and I go upstairs and there's this big box marked VCLT and it had some really incredible stuff in it. Joe, I know I've said it, but thank you. I absolutely love it. Watch the video, I unbox it, and that's was a lot of fun. I'd wear the On a Vinyl hat, but it's opening day tomorrow, so
that's not a problem. That's not a problem.
Appropriately dressed for that. And then this past weekend, I spent the weekend with Mike from NGK Buffalo, as I call him now, because he was here in town because his wife's from the town in which I live, and just by pure coincidence, it was the record show in my town. So Mike and I went to the record show, and then Mike and Patty and I went to a concert for the band Whitehorse, which we both love, and had a great, awesome weekend with those guys. So I'm going to do a video about that before the weekend. And I also want to do, Rob Walker, if you're still watching, I'm going to do your A to Z 2000s. I've got everything figured out. There's one, except for one that I can't quite figure out, but I thought that was an interesting one. So that'll be coming up shortly as well. So
cool.
There we have it, folks. That was Women That Rock, I guess is what we want to call it. So, Richard, thank you for being our guest. We always love when you have an opportunity to join us. So thank you very much, sir.
Yep, glad to be here.
Thank you. Now I want candy.
Do you want to look at my shoe one more time? Do you want to gaze at it before we sign off?
No,
that's Richard's polite face for fuck you.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Couldn't help it. To all the folks watching tonight, thank you very much. We love interacting with everybody, and we love that you spend a couple hours with us. And to those that are going to watch later on, thanks for tuning in. We will be back again next week, Joe and Daryl and myself, and somebody else. So that's everything for tonight, everybody. We'll see you next week. Have a good night.
Take care, everyone.
Good night, everyone.